This is Jewell Loyd. Most of you guys know me as a WNBA champion, an Olympian, college dropout, but let's add storyteller to that list. I'm bringing my amazing community, my experiences to you and everyone across the world. Welcome to the warehouse. As you kind of redefine yourself, as you kind of figure life out, as you kind of realize your job isn't your identity. It's a talent, it's a gift, but that doesn't necessarily define you or shouldn't define you, because for me, it's people only see me as a basketball player. That's 2% of my life, right? But it's if I'm so caught up on that identity, then maybe I feel lost once that's gone. And it's you shouldn't, because you have so much more to who you are that makes you who you are. What's up, warehouse crew? We're back. Jewell, Danny. I'm a little jet lagged. If you guys haven't noticed or followed, I just got back from China. That was an experience of itself. Crazy. But I'm back to be back. I'm glad to be back stateside, but I'm also glad to be back here on the warehouse. So let's get into it. Danny, how are you?
I am good. I'm doing really well. Things are progressing here as well. So, teaching a daughter how to walk fully, and she's taking her first steps. She's taking some steps. She's jolting a little bit, and then she kind of realizes what she's doing, and then she's just oh no, and then she sits down. You know what I mean? But things are going well. Things are going well. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Things were a little different for me a couple weeks ago, but it's all about life experiences, and doing it with your buddy and your partner, and luckily I've lived, I've learned, and now I'm ready to expand
get back to it, right? Get back to it. I mean, you went across the world. Literally, you were a time traveler. I was like, yo, how you doing? You're like, it's Tuesday, and I texted you on Monday. So I'm like, yo, you're ahead of us. So, talk to us about the trip a little bit. You went to China. Explain to the warehouse viewers, listeners. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, by the way, before we get into this awesome content, this heat. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. But tell everybody, what you were up to on the other side of the world while we were all snoring and sleeping.
No, you guys should put in the work in too. Don't worry. I was in China, so I got asked to go play for a playoff series there. I played, this is my second time going to China. I played there about 8 years ago. And it's a different experience for sure. Usually playing overseas, it's definitely in China, they usually get a lot of post players, and that's kind of the game that they play a lot of times. Traditionally they sign a lot of American post players or overseas post players. So if you're a guard that goes over there, you're probably a pretty dynamic guard. So it was an honor the first time I went over there to go play. There wasn't a lot of guards there at that time that were, a shooting guard. So I went over there and had a really good experience. Honestly, I played really well. It was probably the first time since probably high school where I was able to just be super creative with my game and explore and expand and challenge myself in other ways. And basketball was pretty much the only thing I had. And at that time, the rule was you can only have one American. So it was just me and everyone else. And so I had to figure out how to communicate with my teammates who didn't speak English and just enjoy that process. And it's a whole lifestyle change and cultural change, things like that. And, your first time over there and right away, you're right to it. They expect you to adapt really quickly. And that's kind of the mindset when you are overseas in general. They expect you to come in right away and just kind of, but when you're young, that's all right? It's just the grind of okay, rinse and repeat. And so now going back 8 years later, I'm kind of so is there a masseuse? Is there is there cold water? Do I get a little break here and there? I'm kind of analyzing more things because I know way more information now than I did, 8 years ago or even 2 years ago, whatever it is. So I went back and played and had experience. My first game, I felt really good. And that was the first time I played organized basketball since season. Of course, we play at the warehouse, and I would say that's pretty organized, but you played at 161. You've been there.
It is. I mean, Monte was keeping score as best as he could and flipping the score. And on the little, I think he had the manual changer, and he was doing it that way. And on his phone, he was tapping the buttons every time we shot and everything. So it's pretty organized. It's great.
I mean, we call fouls, Elam ending, free throws.
Elam ending 40-point quarters, not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. So it's, sometimes you get an ice or a trap here and there. We high hedge, we switch, we rotate. Sometimes you play zone. I mean, what pickup basketball plays zone? You know,
I don't know. I've never played in a pickup game where you literally grab my shirt and you're like, I'm going to hit you on a short roll. Literally, set me one. I'm going to hit you on a short roll. I'm like, all right, bro. Like, I thought we were just hooping. You know what I mean? So, you know, picking that up and playing that way. But yeah totally organized.
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
Organized, though.
Yeah, so it kind of prepared me. But yeah, I got to China, played well. And the biggest thing was just trying to get my body ready. You know, I wanted to see everything that I kind of put into the work this offseason, if it actually worked and how I felt. Getting some reps up and down. And like I said, it was really nice that, you know, Natalia went with me. So I had someone to talk to and kind of like have that environment. But I had to send her home early. You know, she did her job and she earned it to get home early. Yeah. But no, it was a cool experience, man. But I'm definitely glad to be back.
That's awesome. The fact that they signed you to a playoff series is crazy. Like they could just do like, hey, Jewell, you want to play a playoff game, like a playoff round? So it's nuts, and it's crazy to think that you know, second time around, you know, your mindset is kind of shifted, right? Like, you know, you're in your early 30s now. I mean, like I said, I always say this: we haven't scratched the surface yet. You know, we're still young, so we're not there yet. But like, you know, your mindset definitely changes when an opportunity gets presented to you, right? Like, you know, you're in your, like I said, you're in your early 30s. You know, them asking you, like, if you were 22 and they asked you, hey, Jewell, you want to play with us over in China? I think what would be the first reaction you would get? Like, would it be you know, you're jumping for joy and you're like, yes, I'm going to go right away, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, so like originally, like that the same team asked me to go probably like a month prior. And they asked me a little bit before that, like, hey, can you come for, you know, a month and a half? Absolutely not. Can you come for, you know, this? And I was like, I don't know.
So so they reached out to you to say if you wanted to play more throughout the season during your off season.
Yeah, it was probably maybe even more. Maybe they reached out to me for like half the season went by, and I was like, absolutely not. Then they reached out. It was like a month left before playoffs, and I was like, no. And then they, you know, they called me out, you know, for the last playoff round. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll go, and I'll just get some reps. And mind you, I was kind of going back and forth with it because I'm like, you know, the W season's coming up. I really don't want to go back overseas. I really like my off seasons. I'm really in a groove here. I'm doing things off the court. My businesses are starting up. There's a lot of things that, you know, are really keeping me in the States. But, you know, I was like, you know, let me just go outside my comfort zone here and let me just do something. And maybe like, let me recreate, let me redefine myself in my 30s the way I kind of did it in my 20s, but maybe just a different value behind it. And that's kind of what I thought, because originally, if I get the same offer when I was, you know, I said 8 years ago, it was like, yeah, absolutely. Like no hesitation. It was like, you know, I'm going to go over there and improve myself. That I could be a guard and play in China. I'm going to go over there and play, you know, the game that I want to play. And I want to get reps. I want to build this. I want to, you know, stack days. And, you know, and that's the same thing now. But I guess the motivation, the reasoning behind it is just different from where I was when I was 20 to where I am now when I'm in my 30s.
No, 100%. I think, and the other thing you just mentioned is like my priorities changed. I have a groove here. I got priorities here in the States. I got a great off season. So going into that, once you're like even taking the flight, like what were your thoughts in your head? You're like, I just can't believe I'm doing this, and like 10-day contract type deal. Like, did I really want to sign up for like, you know what I mean? Was there any kind of hesitation or doubt like that?
Absolutely. I got on the flight, you know, and I was just like, okay, like we're really going overseas again. Like we're really doing this. And, you know, it's fine, whatever. And then we land and we're going through customs and doing that whole thing. That was like a whole, like, I think we waited in customs for like, I don't know, almost like an hour.
Jeez.
And that was like fine. But then the moment where it hit me was like, you know, we're actually standing in customs line. And, you know, I'm kind of looking around like, man, like, this is a long ass line. Like, bro, this is crazy. And I'm looking around. I'm just like, there's no one that looks like me. Me and Natalia are the only black people around. She's like, you know, she's taller than me, so she stands out. You know, she stands out. Like, you know, like, and she, you know, it's like, okay, so we're just standing here. There's literally no other black people around. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, it really is. So we're kind of like, everyone's looking at us. Like, we're like, you know, and we're like, you know, this doesn't happen often. You know, like people like maybe like for other reasons, but like whatever. And then, you know, Natalia tries to, mind you, at an airport, like a pretty big city airport. Like we're in, you know, Shanghai, like we're, you know, and so we go and ask, that's our first stop. And we asked the lady, excuse, like, where's the bathroom? Right. I feel that's a pretty standard question for like bathroom or like water or like
universal language,
exactly.
right?
Like,
is that what you're trying to say? Like, okay.
Yeah, maybe I'm ignorant to that,
Okay.
but I feel like that's a pretty good, like, I don't know. So she asked, and the girl just like, it's just looking, and Natalia's like, yeah, like bathroom, like toilet, like, we're trying to find other ways to say toilet. And mind you, like, we don't speak, Mandarin or Chinese or anything. So we're like, okay, so we go and Google Translate and we like show it, and she's like just looking, says nothing, and just looking, and she's just like looking her up and down, like. And she's like, I have to go to the bathroom. Like, where? Like, can you show me where where it is? And so she's like, don't worry about it. And so as she walks, and I'm like, I think it's down there. So she's walking, and there's like a big ass sign that says toilet in English. I'm like,
are you?
I'm like, we're back here. Like, like this is like those moments where I was like, yeah,
you don't miss overseas.
Probably should have. Yeah, I'm like, we probably should have stayed in the state. It's like those little things that we kind of like overlook. I'm just like, okay. It was like, all right.
But it's so much funnier thinking about it now when you're in your 30s and you're like more mature and you realize like the littlest things bother you. Like, because before, you're in your 20s, you don't really give a shit. Like, you're gonna go explore the airport, right? You're gonna go walk around. You time is not even is of essence to you. I mean, like there's no set schedule in a sense for you at that point, right?
No, for sure.
You can go and do those things.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, you're kind of just like, I'm here to do a job. Like, I don't really care. Like, I'm playing basketball. This is what I wanted to do all the time. This is what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my life. This gives me journey. This is my identity. Gives me purpose. And, as you kind of redefine yourself, as you kind of figure, life out and things happen in your life and you kind of go through things, you kind of realize like your job isn't your identity. Like, it's a talent, it's a gift, but that doesn't like necessarily define you, or shouldn't define you because, for me, it's like, people only see me as a basketball player. That's like 2% of my life. Right. And they judge me like, oh, but it's like, if I'm so caught up on that identity, like then maybe I feel lost once that's gone. And it's like, you shouldn't, because you have so much more to who you are that makes you who you are. Right. And so it's like, if I'm so caught up, like in my 20s, I'm not worried about my identity. I'm not worried about my legacy. I'm not worried about, anything. I'm just worried about hooping. I'm just worried about like, I got to get this job. I got to, leave my mark. I'm just sitting here. I'm just getting to work. But now, when you're trying to, do something that's, never been done for your family before, then you start thinking about logistics, and then you start thinking about like the matter of fact stuff. And that's kind of where I was, where I'm like, okay, like, I just want to go to the bathroom. Can you just tell me where the toilet is, bro? Like, I know, I get it. Like, she's tall, bro. Like, she has curly hair. Like, I get it. Like, like I look at her too like that, but like, she gotta go to the bathroom. You gotta go to the bathroom, bro. Like, this big ass sign that says toilet in English. Like, I know you've been asked this question before, so it's like, it's little things like that kind of just like, okay.
It's just so funny. It's just so funny how things change for her. I mean, like, you entered the league and you were the youngest in the league, right? You were like 21.
Yeah,
right?
I just turned 22.
When you enter the league.
Yeah.
So even your progression in your 20s, like, you're not the same person, whether it's on the court professionally or off the court at 22 than you were at 25. And then from 25 to like right before 30 at 28, 29. So like, kind of explain your journey growing up within the league on and off the court and how you kind of, progress in that.
It's kind of interesting as we talked about this. I know we talked about it off camera too, but like, I think my mindset and my progression as an athlete was always kind of been different. I think I had the mindset, even in high school, like I was training in high school, like my freshman year for like college. Yeah. Like, I wasn't just training for like, oh, I want to make JV. Like, I was like, no, like I want to like make sure that like when I go against whoever the best, college person at that time was, aka Maya Moore, right? Like, or whoever. It's like, I want to make sure if I go against Maya Moore that this crossover will work, right? That kind of was my mindset. Like, high school kids, like that, whatever. So then when I got to college, it was like, I'm training to be a pro. So like, I would do all these extra workouts and I would do all these pro workouts to make sure that I was ready for the pro level. Like, I didn't care I'm not gonna say I didn't care about college, but I kind of looked at college as, like I said, mentioned before, like a G League. Like it was preparing me, and that's what college should be doing. It should be preparing you for the next level, whether it's the next level for life, next level for athletes, like whatever it is. Like that should be preparing you for something, right? And like that's how I thought about it. And so it never was like, oh, I'm getting ready for, next year we're playing, Villanova. I want to get ready for that game because we played them this year. It's like, no. I want to get ready for the WNBA, right? And so as I got into the pros, it's like, well, what's next? There is no higher level than WNBA. So it's like now you're preparing for consistency. Like, how do I consistently be better every single year? How do I constantly grow my game? Like, who am I learning from? Who, all these things. So as I'm trying to get better and grow, it's like you're probably changing your diet. Maybe you're probably changing those little things to give you that edge throughout your years, because whatever wasn't working, like maybe I'm not on the court for 7 hours the way I was in college, right? Because I know I need my body for the games because we play so much games, and that's a different level in pace and speed and strength that I never had to encounter before. So maybe I changed my training a little bit. Maybe I changed, how much water I'm drinking or whatever that is. Like you constantly are evolving. You should be evolving your game, your style, your mindset, whatever that is to give you that edge. And that's something that you're constantly refining. You're constantly refining your game. You're constantly refining your training, your shooting. And even if you look at with my shooting coach, like my shot has constantly, my shooting form has changed a little tweaks here and there to feel what was more comfortable or like things like that. So like if you're not technically just like refining your tools on the court, I don't know, like how can you sustain that, right? But you also should be doing that off the court, and that's not something that people talk about enough. Like you have to be able to refine your mind and your body and your peace off the court to kind of maintain that drive on the court as well. Because if you don't, it can't be like this. It has to find that balance, and that's when you see that greatness kind of happen.
Yeah, and I think one of the bigger things too is like your habits. And I'm just talking about in life in general. Like at 22, you can get away pulling an all-nighter. I'm talking about, listen, guys, this is the non-athlete perspective. You're not a professional athlete. There's been days where you had all-nighters. We're going out in the city. Then the next day you got work at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. You're one coffee, not even a coffee, just you're up. You're energetic. You don't even need that coffee to get through. Once 25 kind of creeps in, you're like, maybe I need that coffee or two. And then by, when you're in your 30s and it's like, I'm in bed by 9. So like sleep and prioritizing your habits and all that at 22, Jewell.
No,
how was that for you? And then when you're at 20, 25, 26, mid 20s, and now going into it, like how did you kind of figure that out? What was the unlock that you knew that was going to be important to you?
At some point, partying is I'm not advocating partying for anyone who's watching this who's under 18 and can't drink and all that stuff. Like I'm not advocating that, but partying is great. You enjoy it. And there was a lot of nights where you're drinking and you wake up. I mean, people in college, right? You go out and then you wake up at practice at 6 a.m. and you're at practice, you just sweat it out. Like it's just a routine. I'm like, I look back, I'm like, how the hell were we doing this in college? Like,
right.
How are we waking up, going out, then going to practice, and then still like dominating? Like there was people showing up for games that were hungover and play their best game of their mind, like still smelling like beer. Like I'm like, how the hell are you still functioning right now? And then after that win, going back out. It's like a whole cycle. It's like crazy. But no, it's like once you kind of figure it out. I mean, there was our first early years in Seattle, like we would go out, and it's just part of like, okay, like this is what we do, and then you kind of feel like, okay, well, you either have an injury here or you're a little tired here. You're like, I probably need some sleep, and you realize like it kind of starts adding up. Like if you do something that's not good for your body enough, it starts adding up. You start to feel it. And if you think you don't feel it, like you're just being naive. Like you're like, oh, maybe it's just like, like, oh, it's not a big deal. You have like, like, no, you feel tired. That your stomach hurts. That, your skin's getting a little irritated, things like that. Your eyes are getting heavy. Like you feel it. Right. And, I'm really big on like, all right, listen, like if I want to play long enough, I got to start advocating and doing things for my body. But it's an interesting dynamic too, because a lot of things that you need to do for your body cost money. And so early on for like most women, right? Like you're not making millions of dollars early on. So like, the question was like, how can you do certain things if you can't afford them? Right. So how can you understand how to take care of your body if you can't necessarily afford it? Like I can't afford to pay, $1 million as a rookie on my body. Right. Like LeBron pays all this money. You hear all these, athletes, these male athletes paying billions of dollars on their body, but look at their salaries, look what they're able to do. So it's like, for women, how can you be smart to do that? And so I figured out ways to do that, you know, on a budget. I figured out ways and people to call like, hey, how can I do this? So I was kind of smart there and learning things and researching things myself until I was able to afford XYZ. But a lot of the things is like, you know better. You know you're not supposed to be drinking until 3 a.m. and get your ass to practice. Like, you know you're not supposed to be eating fried foods before a game. Like a lot of things, you know, so it's like, you figure that out and you know, but like, you just have to commit. And that's the thing where it's like, you might be the best. And mind you, I know a lot of athletes that still eat like shit that are like Hall of Famers. Like, I'm not saying like it works for everybody, but at the same time, I know that their work ethic is probably better than yours, right? I know that they understand they still got to do probably double than before. Like, I know that Kobe Bryant used to have like all the worst foods you could possibly eat and then go on purpose and then train his body to go sweat it out. Like, just to like feel the disgustingness come out. Like, he wanted to feel that. Like, he's another level of like, you know, craziness of understanding like how to really push your body when you don't feel great. But it's like, at some point you have to understand like your body is everything you have and you only get one body. Like, you don't get a second body. I get you try to do injections and Botox and all this other stuff, but like, you have one body. So understanding how to treat it right and treat your mind right, like that's a whole nother level. Yeah.
And the evolution, it comes with age, right? Everyone says that. It comes with age, right? You're going to feel this, blah, blah, blah. You're going to realize this when you're, you know, X amount of age, whatever. But no, I feel you on that. Okay, so off the court, though, like life as a whole, right? You're a professional athlete and, you know, you're doing things at such a young age. But like priorities off the court when you're in your 20s, Jewell.
Yeah.
What were they? And not just that, what were they and what were you like going through essentially?
I'd say early on, once I left, was trying to make sure that I made the right decision. I think that weighed on me a lot in my first few years. Was like, all right, like, you know, I made a big decision. Like, did I do this correctly? Like, am I going to make my parents proud? You know, am I going to, you know, make myself proud? How do I do this? Like, I'm living by myself for the first time ever in a city that I didn't even know was even on the map. Like, how do I not mess up? Right. I think that was a big priority for me, but also knowing that, I didn't really worry about, like, besides worrying about that, I really didn't worry about anything. I was like, oh, I have that in basketball. I didn't care about most drama, most issues. I mean, I still don't. I'm really not like, you know, like I just don't, I'm not in drama. I'm not in, like, I just think that's like a waste of time and a waste of energy. So it's like things happen. I'm like, cool. Walk away, like, you know, like I would just go home, play video games. Like I'm talking to like Ninos in LA, like we're in our group chat. Like, you know, I'm still like very connected with my friends, and that was like the biggest thing. It's like I want my life to be as normal as possible. Like I don't want a big change. I don't want any of that. And so as I kind of got older, then it was like, okay, like what else am I really good at, and what else do I really care about? And I've always cared about, you know, like the next generation of kids. I've always cared about giving back. And so I honed in on that a lot. I still do so many things about that. And I was like, how can I kind of morph the two? What else can I do? But you're not worried about like, I mean, I wasn't really worried about like bills and money and like stuff that I'm worried about now, you know, like, I don't know. I was kind of just like floating around. Like I was like, oh, it's fine. And I think, and to be honest, I know the reason why I wasn't worried is because early on, I built a great team around me to make sure that I didn't have to worry about that, because I couldn't be the best person on the court if I had to worry about someone stealing my money, someone, you know, lying to my parents and using them, and someone, you know, all the nonsense that you go, you know, that happens off the court for athletes, or, you know, people just using you for certain things and using your likeness and trying to be around you. I didn't have to worry about any of that. Like my friends did a great job of protecting my bubble. Like my parents did a great job of that. Like my financial team, like I didn't have to worry about that. And I was really big on like, I need to build the best team around me so then I could just go be free. Yeah. And that was like my focus. And then that allowed me to go be free. Like I was just like, you know, do my own thing, skateboarding when I wanted to, like, you know, just having a good time. And, you know, now it's like, you know, I think now that I kind of build that team, I use that all the time to do all my off the court stuff and like really what I don't do with the whole finance things and things like that. But early on, it was like, I need to go be free. I need to go live and explore life, because to me, the biggest teacher is life, and you don't really always get a chance to experience it. And understanding that because I have the platform and the accessibility that I have, like I might as well use it to really, dive into, experiences in places I've never been before.
Yeah. You mentioned like the next generation of kids, athletes and whatnot, but like at what age did you like start kind of like really implementing that, really like getting into that? Like honestly, maybe it's hosting a camp or whatnot, but like what age that you kind of started clicking?
No, the moment I got my first WNBA check, I gave that right back to a group in Chicago. And I started right away working with the AAU team back home and donating gear and stuff to them. And then I did a team out here in Seattle. I did 2 teams. Then I did a team in San Antonio. They're still doing really good and thriving. And so I'm super excited about them, and they're fantastic. And I just always thought like I just knew that like I didn't get here by myself. Like someone had to help me at some point. Maybe I met them, maybe I didn't meet them, but someone had to donate shoes and sponsor our team to get jerseys at some point. Someone had to buy it, whether it's a parent or whatever. So I always thought it was super important to do that. I just always believed that, and I just think like there's enough in the world to give back. There's enough in the world to share it. Like I promise you, there is. Like there's enough. Like I promise. Like I'm pretty sure. Like I'm not that smart, but I guarantee you, there's enough in the world to share with everybody here. And so it's always kind of been my mindset to do that. And so I've never stopped. That was my first thing I did with my check, was to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you also, another thing too is like when you're in your 20s, and I'm pretty sure you always latch onto a vet. Right. Like I always feel like every young athlete always has someone they look up to. You probably had you had an amazing mentor in Sue Bird, but like when you saw her at her age compared to you and when you were younger, like, did you ever think like that's going to be you?
No.
Like you're going to be that vet one day leading the charge, or you're going to be doing this one day.
I mean, no. That didn't hit me until when everyone left in Seattle. I was like the last one here, and I was, damn, I'm the oldest person here. Like then I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm the person that's actually leading the team. And like I said, it wasn't the first time that I had to lead. No, I did it all in high school. I did it at Notre Dame as well. And I feel like I kind of have naturally been a certain kind of leader, but now being, when people have asked like, oh, you're a 10-year, 12-year vet, 11-year vet, I'm like, damn, like I've been in the league for that long, like it's like every time my nephew has a birthday, I'm like, he's 12 years old. I'm like, it's my, I'm like, damn, like stop going, like stop having birthdays, like every time you get older, I get, I'm in the league. Like that's the problem.
You're pushing me out of the league, dude.
I know, man. Like relax. Like don't you have like a leap year birthday or something? Like calm down, bro. Like god damn. But no, I mean, I never thought that it would be like that, But then you kind of get here and you're like, man, like it's a testament to just, the work I've done on my body, obviously, the dedication that people around me have put to make sure that I'm here. But it's kind of cool, because my dad said it the other day. He's like, man, like you played with so many Hall of Famers. He's like, do you realize that? Like you played with so many Hall of Famers, whether with them at USA, against them, and you share the court with so many like great players. And that was really why I wanted to leave early, because I didn't know how long these players would be around. Like I didn't know. I wanted to experience playing against Maya, playing against Sue, playing against DT, playing against, Swin Cash, like right, like all these players that I played against. Like I had a chance to say I guarded them, right? I talked to them. They spoke wisdom into me. And that's the reason why I left. I'm like, I want to have as much time with the greats before the time is up, right? And so it's been a pleasure and a privilege to do that. And hopefully, maybe there's a kid out there who got drafted now or in whenever who says the same thing. Like, I want to play against, Stubby, Asia, Jewell, Chelsea, like that. And we do the same thing that, I thought about for them. Yeah. So hopefully it's a full circle moment for somebody.
Yeah. There's going to be definitely a passing of the torch moment for you to somebody. And it's it's going to be a lucky young star who gets that, right? Because like, did you have someone who was like kind of like a passing of the torch moment to you? Was it someone like Diana Taurasi?
I mean, I don't know if she passed me the torch. I mean, we talked about it, but it was just understanding that like she always talked about like, your time will come, and we had that time, like that moment, like you dominate it, whether it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 20 years, you don't let that moment go. And so she was really, really big on that. And we were really close. And anytime she was able to, give me any type of, wisdom and buckets, she did,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And I just value, who she is on the court and the person she is off the court. I guess on the golf course now because she's golfing now, but
Oh, no way.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. So I'm not golfing at the moment. We're never gonna talk about how bad my golf game is, because it's atrocious. But yeah, it's just nice to know that you just have like the people that you respect and watched all your life, compliment you and kind of pour back into you. That's always nice. To me, that's like the biggest compliment. That's why I played the game. That's why I left, right? To like get their approval, to get their notification, their dap up, their jersey, right? Like, can you sign this jersey for me, right? It's like, that's why I left. And so to know that, I had that, it means everything.
That's amazing. I mean, like I said, there's going to be some lucky young star who's in the league. And I mean, if you guys have that Kobe MJ moment, where, you know what I mean, on the when he was on the Wizards and, Kobe wearing the 8, young sending star, but, hopefully they don't outscore you. But
yeah.
But there is going to be that moment, and whoever does get that is truly lucky, honestly, and very deserving. So, because it has
I appreciate
to be,
that.
You know what I mean?
Appreciate that. No, I appreciate that, Daniel, man. You always pour so much into me, man. Like, people probably don't understand how much you know the game of basketball, but also sports, man. You watch the game, analytics, numbers, and
I appreciate
any
that.
Any compliment that you give, like, I know it's like real. Like, you also, as much as you're obviously my co-host and things like that, like, you're gonna tell me the truth. Like, you're gonna be like, hey, bro, your percentages this year, like, so like, you're gonna be honest with me. No, you are.
I'll
so,
try.
like,
I mean, I tried it. I mean,
no, you do, and that's
that.
what you need. You need that around you, and so. The comments you give are always honest and true. So I appreciate that. And so get you a co-host like this in the warehouse, man.
No, I appreciate
That's why you guys
that.
like and subscribe for good realness like this, man.
100%. And before we get to our next segment, like you mentioned, you put a great team around you. Like the warehouse at the end of the day is going to have your back, Jewell. So throughout those years in your 20s, setting you up for success today, I mean, you got to thank the warehouse. You got to pour back into the warehouse. So
Got
so
man. Shout out
I know
to the
we just
warehouse.
talked. Shout out to the warehouse, and make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Honestly, we talk about our 20s and that moment, and now that we're in, our 30s, and now we're considered to be quote unquote unks and not cool and cringy, and we're millennials and we're lame and all that. Like, man, that's bogus. We still had the man. These kids don't know. These kids don't know.
We had the best time, bro. We had the 90s.
I know.
We had like
we had the best transitions.
the best transition.
I swear.
It's not even close. It's not even close.
Y'all weren't around when the iPhone like 5 came out and the Instagram just started and everyone was deep frying their photos. Like, y'all weren't around for that. And that shit was hard. That shit was kind of hard, bro.
You didn't clip your nano right here, bro. You didn't clip your nano.
No,
right
you did not. You did not.
You didn't do it.
You weren't in class sharing an airboat with somebody. If you know, you know. You know what I mean?
You were not doing that, bro.
You were not. Y'all weren't doing that. No. But in our 30s now, and like how our mindset changes, priorities change. I know you mentioned you're like, I didn't really care too much, when I was 20s, but now you're getting bothered that your sleep patterns getting interrupted, being on a nice flight to China, right? So it's like things have changed, right? So some of the things that have changed for you, as you've gotten through your late 20s into your early 30s, and how that transition's been for you.
I believe the biggest change from my late 20s to my early 30s has been putting myself first. I think understanding that I can't be my best self if I don't know what's best for me. And really diving into that. I think that's been the biggest change. It's like learning how to say no and being okay with that. And it's not a bad thing. It's not to hurt someone's feelings, but sometimes I just need to say no, right? I can't make everyone happy. I can't fix every problem. I could try, but that's also exerting a lot from me. And then I'm going to lose a lot of things for myself. And so really working on myself in those years has been something that I would recommend everyone to do. And I think, the biggest shift was honestly when Kobe passed. When Kobe passed, I wrote down in my notebook, like, I had literally had a conversation with myself. Like, if someone was watching, they would think like, hey, are you okay? Like, why are you yelling? Yeah. Like, seriously, I'm sitting down. I have my notebook out, and like, I was like, is this all you got? Like, is this it? Like, 5 years from now, like, what are we doing? Like if this is if this is the bare minimum of what my career is gonna look like and who I am as a person, then all right, this is what we're doing. The bare minimum. I'm like yelling, like, and I swear. And I wrote down like, all right, 5 years. This is what I want. This is what I want. Right. And I'm like, do I believe I could get here? Can I get here? Like, if I can't get here, then I'm gonna just chill. Like, I'm just gonna coast. Like, say what's up, whatever, mind my own business. Or like, is there more? Like, Kobe didn't do all this for me to just be like chilling. So like lock in or like shut the fuck up. You know, like I was like really like emotional. I was really like, you know, advocate for myself and just yelling. And I'll never forget that. And after that, I was like, I called my brother. I'm like, listen, here's our 5-year plan. And if I don't get this 5 years, like we got to reevaluate every fucking thing we've ever did, like everything, because none of this would make sense. We're here right now. I'm in like the middle of my, like, this is the go time of your career. Like, what we got left? And after having that conversation, that's when I was like, all right, I'm locking in. Hey, I dove in on like my body. I dove in on my, you know, everything I needed for recovery, you know, really locked in on, you know, Monte and Steve and, you know, analytics and data. And I just like locked in on that. But then I was like off the court stuff too. Like, you know, who's my mental coach? Like, what do I want to do financially? Like, I'm studying, I'm reading books, I'm doing everything I can. And doing that was like the biggest difference, because then I was like, there is more. You know, I needed to self-talk myself, and there is more I could give, but you figure out who you are in those moments. You figure out like your full potential, because potential could sit for years, man. Like potential, I was, oh, that person has potential. That person has potential. What are you gonna do with it, man?
Let's see it. Yeah, let's see it.
You know, like everyone has potential. Every single person in this world has potential, but like, can you actually activate it? And so I activated it, and my life was constantly, you know, it got better and better every year. And I can confidently say right now, at 32 years old, everything but 2 things on that list has been accomplished. And I go back, I'm like, man, that's like, if I never had that conversation, if I never did that, where would I be, kind of thing. But it's also because I really bought into myself, man. Like, people are sometimes afraid to go to therapy and ask the hard questions because they don't want to have the conversation with themselves. Like, it's hard to actually like have the mirror and look and talk. And for an athlete, like, we're always judged on our production. We're always judged on that. And, you know, I believe like that's not how we were created, man. Like, you know, like I think like we're loved not based on our production. The love already is there. So that's how I think about my life and how I think about where I'm at, like grace and mercy and all that stuff. It's just there. Like, we don't deserve it, but we have it. So if I believe that and know that, then our production is what it is, right? Yeah. So I'm validated already in my life. And, you know, my job is my job. But once the, you know, the locker room's closed, I go home, like, that's a whole different person, you know? And I believe that, and to understand that, like, I could walk and move differently knowing that. And a lot of athletes don't know that, because like we mentioned before, your identity is the basketball. Like, your identity is that jersey. The identity is that soccer ball. And the identity, that's not you. Like, the basketball is a basketball. Like, you're not a basketball. You're a human being. Like, you're, you know, you're Danny, right? Like, there's only one Danny in the world. Like, own that, right? And if we don't talk about that enough as athletes, or as anyone really, you know? And so I think the moment I started to buy into myself, that's when the moment my life and my priorities and my reasoning behind what I did and how I moved significantly changed.
Yeah. And I feel like hearing all that, it's reflection, right? Being able to look yourself in the mirror, and it's okay. Your 20s were your 20s, right? You were that person, you know, you had certain things you did, and it's okay to rebrand in a sense and reinvent. And that's where the reflection comes through, like, from an athlete's perspective, right? And I'll use this example. Like, you're not as explosive in your 30s as you were in your 20s, right? So you have to, and you could still score a bucket, but it's just in a different way, right? Yeah. I could still give you 30, but it's not me driving the lane and dunking every time. It's more methodical. It's more like I'm catching and shooting. I'm moving off the ball. So it's like, it's the same type of deal you can apply to life, right? Like, how I'm moving different, who I have in my circle, what are my priorities, who am I checking in on, who's important to me, what am I doing to better myself every day? The reflection. And I think that's the biggest thing as we kind of gotten older, right? I think I look at so many things differently now than I did even 5 years ago, right? So,
for sure. I mean, I think like in general, like most people or people in general are kind of scared to redefine themselves. They're scared to change, or scared to say like, man, like, it's like the big notion is like, oh my gosh, you're turning 30 this year. Oh my gosh. Like I'm like, why are you panicking? Like, what's really changing from 29 to 30? I was like, oh, your knees, your back, bills pay. Like, it's like they have like a long list, and I was like, are you okay? Yeah. Like, you didn't think you had back pain at 25? Like, did you not, like, are you okay? Like, did you not, like, I was sore as hell in college. Like, I was probably more sore in college than I was now. Like, I think it's like, breathe. Like, sometimes what you want at 25, you're not ready for at 25. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe, like, you're preparing yourself for what you want, and it's going to come at 45. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not like it's, oh, my life is over, I didn't get the job up. You weren't ready, maybe. Like, relax. You're okay. Like, it may seem like the world's over, but it's not. But you have to redefine yourself and prepare yourself for what's to come. Mm-hmm. But we're so used to, like, I want something now.
Go, go, go.
I need it now.
Instant gratification is a killer of our society. I swear it is.
A killer. And it's like, dude, like, no, like, you need to wait. I promise you're not ready yet. Prepare yourself. Because then everything would happen. Like, if I didn't go through what I went through, I don't know if I would have been ready for how I received what happened last year. Like, if I didn't understand the business plan of understanding how someone gypped me, I wouldn't have prepared for myself to own something else. Like, it was just like I need to understand the whole financial world before I took over, and bought 2 companies. If I didn't understand that, I wouldn't be able to buy these 2 companies, which would have set, so it's like, I wanted those companies 5 years ago, but I wasn't ready for them. I would have completely failed them and went bankrupt. Like, there's no way I would be able to do that, but like, understanding that then allowed me to do this now. And so now, like, I understand so much more and know how to move. And now I'm able to give information to people who want to do it. But like, it's understanding that. I think it's so big. It's like, we want things right now. We want things done in our image. And like, I have a vision for this. And it's like, you could have a vision for it. You could have a passion for it, but like, it may not be in this moment, and it's okay. Like, 100%. You could redefine yourself, bro. Like, you can still be a cool dad at 50. I promise you. Like, your swag doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still carry the swag at 50. Like, I had a conversation with my brother the other day. I'm like, dog, like, you're still cool, my guy. Like, you're cool as hell. Like, you still listen to Jay-Z. You still got some swag, my guy. Like, it's not because you're good. Like, like, you're fine. So it's okay to like want and ask and have dreams and aspire for big stuff, but sometimes it may not come on your time. But there's understand that it's preparing you for something bigger when you're ready.
It's definitely something to get advice, from a great, like, Kobe Bryant, obviously. Sue Bird, like we mentioned earlier, she's probably always giving you great advice as a vet. But has there been like another athlete that's giving you this kind of like advice and perspective on things in life?
Me and Kai, we have a very, very special relationship. It's very unique, and that's he's family to me, and we talk a lot. And I think the more I've talked to him as we both kind of grown up together and in the different journeys in different ways, and we really value a lot of the same things, family and understanding how to understand who you are and stand firm in your beliefs. But he's easily one of the smartest minds I've been around. Definitely when it comes on the court. I mean, his game speaks for itself, and his understanding of come on, like, I'm not even
he's a genius on the I don't need
to like, go watch the film, like, Google him, it's like, I don't need to like go into deep into that, but the way he understands the game. And it's funny because I would ask him a question like, yo, like, what were you thinking here? He's like, what? I'm like, what were you thinking on display? He was like, I was thinking about a song. Cool. Like, when I'm thinking about like, oh, this guy high head jumping behind my back. No, I was whistling a song in my head. All right, cool, bro. What was the song? Like, it's like, it's like the way he understands it. It's like you're giving a paintbrush to like Picasso or something. Like, you're going like, hey, Mozart, like, what are you doing today? He's like, it's like you're talking to a genius. And the way that he thinks and understands, and he talks about the game, it's not necessarily like he talks about it as a sport, and it talks. It's literally like his canvas. And so hearing that and how he talks about it and the relation to it, it's just different. So we have talks about it all the time, and it's, and you have people like that around you. It's inspiring, right? And it makes things just feel wholesome. It brings back the soul of the sport that sometimes feels like it's fake, right? It feels like
Yeah.
it's just like redundant and not real sometimes, you know. And so when you have people that still have a love for the game in that way,
Hmm.
it makes you like, yeah, this is why I love the game of basketball. Like this is why you know, it's special when you have that conversation. So I would definitely say Kai for sure. And that's why we're so close and locked in. And you know, he's amazing. Obviously, he's an amazing basketball player, and
Yeah.
people have
And
forgotten about his talents because it's been out. But
I
I
know.
promise you, he's been in the lab.
No, I don't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt anything that guy does. To be honest, like the thing, like some of the like you said, he's a genius on the court. Like some of the plays, like that game winner he hit over Jokic, where he left hand floater. Like, how do you even think of that? Like, besides the instinct, like you got to your spot and did that. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I
I'm
mean?
telling you,
I just want his perspective. That's why if he comes on the warehouse, I just want his perspective on life.
Hey,
In a
wait,
sense,
if he
because it
comes
was
on a
just like,
warehouse, he comes on a warehouse again, mind you.
oh yeah, again, that is right. That is right. And once he hops on, and I just want to hear that perspective, and not only what he does, but like his life perspective is just it's so interesting, and
He's so
it's just
cool, man.
it's mind opening in a sense.
Yeah, no, he's
So
so cool. Like he's just
yeah,
a really unique, special human who just like loves to serve. So
yeah,
loves to serve people. Like he would give like anything away. Like he loves to help people.
hmm,
Um, I don't know. Like there's very few men that I know in my life, um, that serve people and respect the shit out of women the way he does.
mm,
And that's awesome to say, you know, because he was on that wave before it was a trend, you know, like
hmm.
he was on that wave way before, and
Very
he stands
genuine
on that.
person.
Yeah, of course. And then he did. That's all he wants, man. He just wants to show love and serve, and to know him the way
Yeah,
I've been able to know him for years. You know, I'm excited for him, his journey back. I know he's excited to get
yeah,
back
we're
on the court,
excited. We're
and
excited to see him on the court too.
yeah,
Mavericks need him.
we gotta
Yeah,
go down there and see him, man. We gotta go down and see him.
yeah. And has there been like a non-athlete that's done the same for you?
Yeah. So my mentor, someone I study very often. I'm actually not gonna reveal the person's name. I'll let you guys figure out who it is. But I had a conversation with her, and she's very successful, and she's done a lot of great things, and she's married to an also very successful man, and you know, he's done some great things in the film world. She said, and I asked her, like, you know, like about serving and giving back, how to give advice to people and things like that. She told me a story. She's like, yeah, you know, I was talking to some lady and her son. She's like, hey, like you know, I have a question about film and whatever. And do you think, you know, your husband could give me some insight on this? And she was like, yeah, sure, probably will give you some insight. Let me just, you know, ask him. Like, we're going to dinner, we're going to lunch at this place. How about you just stop by and you know, ask your question, and then you know, like, well, make an introduction, and then you know, you guys could go. And so she's at brunch with her husband, and she like, hey, like I forgot to tell you, I invited this kid who's a film student, and he needed some advice, and he goes, hey, like, you know, I love you. Thank you for doing that. I will talk to the kid today, but I don't have time to speak to every single film student in the world. Like I don't have time. So this is why I bought this film school, right? I'm just going to buy it, and then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to serve kids that way. And so for me being, you know, an entrepreneur, it's like, you know, to me that story stuck with me in so many different ways from my mentor standpoint, because she's like, you know, when you're trying to do something legendary and you've done so much in your life, like you can't speak to every single kid who comes up, hey, how do you fix my shot? How do you do this? But what you can do is leave a legacy by building a building, right? Like building something that could that you accessible for some people to do. And I was like, that's some boss shit right there. Like I'm just gonna build a building and give you access to that, and then I can give you a lecture and serve, you know, thousands of kids at once than just serving that one kid who maybe, you know, whatever. So, you know, between, you know, having the athlete side of like talking about the, you know, the creativity of, you know, who you are as an athlete, but also think the business side is like, you have to think bigger than just that one thing, right? You have to understand that, you know, if you have the capability of going buying a building and doing something like that, you go do it because you have the ability to really serve so many more people. And then when I talk to people like that, I talk to Kai and I talk to Kobe, I talk to Sue, like they all have some kind of ability to serve others. They've always told a story of serving. And that never has left my mind. It's like these guys and these girls and these women are so on these pedestals, right? These Hall of Fame people, these iconic people, these 1%ers, but they all talk about serving. So for someone who's trying to get there, it's like you can't be a king and a queen and not serve. You know, like you just can't. Like I don't know. I've read too many stories. I've seen too much. I've been in these rooms, and every single person who I've studied and mentored, who are also good people, have always had that, and they've always been great beyond that, like great leaders, great CEOs, you know, Hall of Famers, whatever it is. And so it's just interesting that no matter you're talking to Kai or talking to this mentor, somewhere along the line, it was like, I'm serving, I'm giving back to the other people.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
No, that's, yeah, I'm kind of curious who that person is. Cause damn.
Yeah. Say, any guesses, you'll be featured in the warehouse. You get a 15 minutes segment on the warehouse.
Drop your comments. Yeah. Drop your comments on who you think this person is.
Guess the mentor's name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But like, as we kind of, you know, transition, and we always talk about in the warehouse, like legacy, right? Like leaving a legacy, progressing and all that. Right. So talked kind of about our 30s, and we're still in the mix of it, in the midst of it. You know, as our lives are progressing and everything's going, but you know, once you hit 35, everyone's like, you're done, you're washed. You know what I mean? Like you're cooked, right? No, like, but once you hit 35 and going forward, your next 10 years is 35 to 45. And then that transition. And it's not even about the athletes. So I'm talking about life. Like, yeah, you know, I was mentioning to you earlier, like, you know, I talk to my parents way more often now than I did even, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. You know, I mean, I talk to them every single day. Not that I have a great relationship with my parents, guys. I'm not saying I don't. I have a great relationship with my parents. I love them. No, I love them to death, and they love me. And they live in Chicago, and I'm out here in California, so I'm constantly checking them out. But like now, you know, as they're getting older, you know, and this is kind of the things we have to deal with, is like parenting the parents in a way, helping them out, checking in on them, making sure they're okay. So it's like these next, you know, 10, 12, 15 years are going to be very different. So, you know, we got to really appreciate that. But like, what is your take on that?
No, you're definitely right. There's like a shift that happens, and it's like randomly, like, you know, you go from one day, you're calling your parents like, hey, can you give me $5 for gas? They're like, what? Yeah, like, no problem. Then you call them like, hey, did you take your medicine? Like, are you good? Like, hey, like, I know you're supposed to be saying, you know, it's like you're constantly like checking in on them, and it's a matter of like a second. And it's sometimes it's a little scary, you know, like you're just kind of like, when did this happen? Like, I kind of always see my parents at the age of 50. Like, I've never seen them older. I've never seen them. They're just constantly 50 years old, you know, like they're prime time 50 years old. And, you know, my dad the other day, he coaches tennis, and, you know, he's like, oh, like my shoulders is really, I'm like, bro, what are you, like 90? And I'm like, well, you're getting up there, you know, like, actually, you're not, you know, you're kind of close. And it's just like those little things of just like, man, like, you know, I'm really going to have to eventually like start thinking like taking care of you. You know, it's like nothing, like, mind you, my parents are healthy as hell. Like, my mom is chilling on vacation. My dad, like, they're living their best lives, you know, but you're constantly thinking of like, there's a shift that happens. Right. And like, you're thinking like, okay, when I have kids or my vacation, like, okay, like they're going to want to be closer. So I have to kind of live probably a little closer to my parents because they may be over to travel. Like, you're constantly thinking of like how to re-evolve like your living situations, or, you know, what's better for convenience, right? Like, I'm constantly thinking about that. Like, my parents don't pick up twice. I'm like, where are you? Why did you pick up your phone? I told you to charge your phone twice. Like, why haven't you pick up your phone? She's like, I'm taking a nap. I'm like, well, then turn the volume up. Like, I'm calling you. Like, you know, you're like panicking. So, but
isn't that funny? Because that's the flip of us. Like, I'm out as a young age. I'm getting phone blown up. Mom sending texts. Where are you? Where are you? You're ignoring it. I don't want to. Now we're doing it to them, and they're ignoring us. You're ignoring me. That's crazy.
Pick up your phone. I promise. If you don't pick up your phone, you're not getting tickets for the next 4 games. Like, I promise you, your phone. Like, you know, like, you're just like so frustrated. Like, it's just those little things. You know, it's like, you know, even like my dad, like, you know, he drive me to the airport, like that's kind of like his thing. And it's like, he was like so panicked, like, all right, I gotta be home by 4 to drive to the airport, because like I won't see you. And I'm like, Dad, I'm literally gonna see you next week. It's like, But like for him, like it's like still like, you know, I'm his little daughter, but like I'm like, Dad, I'm good. Like I put your stuff here. I put your, like, you know, you're constantly preparing each other. So it's kind of like at some point they also don't want to give up their, you know, like independence too. And you're like growing, like, you know, it's a weird dynamic, but like it's just a shift. And, you know, as you get older and you realize like what's really important to you, I think that's why your values change. Like that's why like going overseas when you're in your 30s, I'm like, damn, like, do I really want to be on this plane for 16 hours or do I want to be like chilling with my parents? Like, you know, like, do I want to like, you know, actually enjoy a vacation and not worry about being in shape? You know, can I have a drink on vacation? I'm thinking about my macros, like, you know, like, like, what am I doing here? You know, it's like those little things of like, man, I really wish I was around to see like Alec and his kids more. Like, I haven't even met his daughter yet. You know, it's like, it's killing me, but I had no time. You know, it's like these little things are just like, man, but like, you know, who's seen them? My parents have seen them. Like, my dad goes over there and hangs out with Alec and rides by and checks his house. Like, oh, Alec's garage door is open. Like, text him. I'm like, Dad, like, leave him alone, you know?
His garage like, door. That's so, man. You know, hey, he's a good neighbor, man. That's such a dad thing to do.
Such a dad thing to do. I'm like, leave that man alone. He might be like cutting his grass. I don't know. He's like, goes, oh, Alec, like, hey, his light's on. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Alec, your light's on. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, but it is a weird shift and dynamic for sure. But I mean, you know, it's fucking life, man. It's fucking life.
I know. And this is what we got to do. You got to we keep learning. We don't stop learning, and we have to take these as they come. So,
we evolve, man. We evolve.
Yeah, we do. We truly do.
As humans, yeah, we evolve as a warehouse, man. The warehouse could be evolving, man. You know,
that's true. That's also true.
We got to change with the times, adapt to the times. You know, give people what they want.
Yeah, I mean, we went in there and there was like gray walls.
There was gray walls, but what the heck is this?
Yeah, and with that being said, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and tuning into the warehouse. We out.